The purple skies of planet Xylon were quiet that evening. Small stars blinked like fireflies, but inside a small metal house at the edge of the city, panic was growing. Lyra, an alien mother with bright silver eyes and blue skin, was holding her child close. The little one, Ryan, was breathing fast, his body shaking. A small light on the wall kept blinking red, the signal of danger. Lyra's heart was breaking. The child had a strange sickness that spread across Xylon after a storm. Every parent feared it. The only cure, a small crystal medicine, was not found on their planet anymore. The factory that made it was destroyed in an explosion last year. She had already gone from place to place begging for help. The alien hospitals had no stock. The traders at the city gates asked for too much, and gold, ships, and weapons. She had nothing left to trade. Ryan's body was getting colder. His small hand slipped from hers. Lyra whispered, "Please, anyone help me." Far away, on a space station orbiting Earth, Captain Ryan Cole was checking the message board. He worked for a group that helped alien refugees. A strange message caught his eye. A weak signal from Xylon. The words were full of static, but one sentence was clear. "My child is dying. Need crystal medicine, please, anyone." Ryan stared at the screen. He had delivered food, tools, and even books to different worlds, but medicine was different. He said to his robot companion, "R9, can we still make the jump to Xylon?" The robot blinked. "Yes, Captain. But that zone is under radiation. Dangerous for humans." Ryan looked out at the stars. "Then it's worth the risk." He packed the medicine crate, 5 small glowing crystals, and set his ship on autopilot. As the engines roared, he thought about the message again. A mother's voice, pure fear. He knew he couldn't ignore it. Back on Xylon, the night grew colder. Lyra wrapped Ryan in blankets made of soft scales, whispering lullabies from her childhood. She tried to be strong, but her tears fell on his skin like drops of fire. "Stay with me, my little star," she said. Outside, thunder rolled. From the sky, a bright light flashed, brighter than lightning. The villagers ran outside, thinking it was another meteor storm. But it wasn't a storm. It was a ship. The silver ship landed in the middle of the village square, its light scanning the dusty ground. The door opened with a hiss, and a human in a black spacesuit stepped out. Lyra's heart skipped. She had seen humans in old broadcasts, but never in real life. "Who are you?" she shouted, shielding her child. Ryan raised his hands. "My name is Ryan. I got your message." Lyra couldn't believe it. "You came? All the way from Earth?" He nodded. "I brought the medicine." The villagers watched in silence as Ryan opened the crate. The small crystals inside glowed a soft blue light. Lyra's eyes filled with tears of hope. He handed one to her carefully. "Crush it in water. Let your child drink it." Her hands trembled as she followed his instructions. She made Ryan drink the glowing liquid. For a few seconds nothing happened, and just silence and fear. Then slowly Ryan's breathing calmed. His skin changed from pale gray to soft blue again. His eyes fluttered open. "Mom," he whispered weakly. Lyra gasped, holding him tight. "My child."
"You're alive."
Ryan smiled under his helmet. The villagers began to cheer, their voices echoing through the cold air. But then a warning light on Ryan's wrist blinked red. His robot's voice came through. "Captain, radiation levels rising." "We must leave now." Ryan looked at Lyra. "I have to go." She grabbed his arm. "You saved my child. How can I thank you?" He shook his head. "No thanks needed. Just promise me one thing and help others when you can." Lyra nodded, tears streaming down her face. "I will. You are welcome here always, human." As Ryan stepped back into his ship, Ryan smiled weakly and waved. "Goodbye, hero." The ship's engines roared again, lifting into the dark sky. The villagers watched as it disappeared among the stars. Lyra held her son close and looked up. "Maybe," she whispered. "Not all humans are cruel after all." But high above, in the orbit of Xylon, another ship watched Ryan's departure, silent and hidden in the dark. A voice crackled through its radio. "The human delivered the medicine. Now we know their route." The screen inside that dark ship flickered, showing Ryan's face. A shadowy figure smiled. "Let's see how long the hero survives." The stars looked peaceful as Captain Ryan's ship left Xylon's orbit, but peace in space never lasted long. Inside the Star Runner, soft alarms blinked on his control panel. Ryan sat in the pilot seat, tired but smiling. He had saved a child today. That feeling, that tiny miracle, made every risk worth it. His robot companion R9 floated beside him. "Captain, your oxygen levels are low. You should rest," Ryan chuckled. Yeah. Just 5 minutes more. I want to see Xylon fade away first." Outside, the blue planet slowly shrank into a dot. Ryan leaned back and whispered, "Hang in there, little guy. You're safe now." But far behind his ship, something else moved. A dark shadow shaped like a blade. It wasn't a meteor. It was another ship. Inside the black vessel, Commander Vorak watched the Star Runner through glowing red screens. His armor gleamed like polished stone and his sharp eyes burned with anger. He was part of the Syndicate, a group that sold medicine, weapons, and lives for the right price. The Syndicate had controlled the medicine supply on Xylon for years. Lyra's child was supposed to die. That fear kept the people paying. But a human had just broken their rule. Vorak slammed his hand on the table. "That Earthman gave away what we own." His assistant, a tall, silent alien, spoke softly. "He delivered hope, Commander. The people believe in him now." Vorak's teeth clenched. "Then let's make them lose hope again." On the Star Runner, Ryan didn't know he was being followed. He hummed softly as he opened a small metal box, the leftover crystals. "2 left," he said. "Maybe I can take these to the lab on Earth." R9 beeped. "Captain, unidentified object detected." "It's coming fast." Ryan frowned and checked the radar. A red dot was moving toward them and fast like lightning. "Not good," he muttered. "Put shields up." The ship shook as a blast hit the side. Sparks flew, lights flickered. Ryan grabbed the controls. "They're attacking us." Another shot came, harder this time. The engine screamed, "R9! Who is it?" The robot analyzed the signal. "Unknown vessel. No ID code, but their energy signature matches Syndicate ships." Ryan cursed under his breath. Of course. They must have seen the broadcast. He turned the ship sharply, dodging another blast. Outside, space lit up with blue and orange fire. "Hold tight," he shouted. "We're not going down today." In the black ship, Vorak grinned as his weapons locked on. "He's fast, but not fast enough." He pressed a red button. Missiles shot through the void. Ryan twisted his controls. "Come on, old girl, hold together." The missiles exploded behind him, shaking the ship again. R9 spun in the air, shouting, "Captain! Hull damage at 30%. Engines overheating." Ryan gritted his teeth. "We can't fight them. We'll have to outsmart them." He opened a small screen and had a map of nearby space debris. Old satellites and broken stations floated there. Perfect cover. He steered the ship into the debris field. The Star Runner weaved between dead metal, hiding behind floating wrecks. The Syndicate's scanners struggled to track him. Vorak hissed, "Coward! Come out and face me!" Ryan's voice came through the radio. Calm, confident. "Sorry, Commander. I'm not in the mood for dying today." Inside the debris, Ryan had another plan. He used the ship's magnetic field to pull a large piece of metal in front of them, like a shield. Then he shut off all lights. The ship floated, silent, cold. The Syndicate ship passed close, scanning. "Nothing on radar," said the assistant. Vorak growled. "He's hiding. Keep scanning." Minutes passed. Silence. Then, slowly, the black ship moved away. Ryan let out a long breath. That was close. R9's light blinked. "We are safe. For now." But when Ryan turned back to the control screen, he noticed something strange, a blinking symbol. A small device stuck under the console. It wasn't part of the ship. He picked it up carefully. A tracker. Ryan's eyes widened. "They planted this on Xylon. They know exactly where I go." R9 floated beside him. "Then they will follow you to Earth." Ryan looked out at the stars, the blue planet now far behind. He clenched his fist. "Then we have to stop them before they reach home." Far away on Xylon, Lyra stood outside her house with her son, Ryan. The sky was clear again. But when she looked up, she felt a strange worry in her heart, as if the stars were watching her. Ryan tugged her arm. "Mom, do you think the human is safe?" Lyra smiled sadly. "I hope so, my little star, because sometimes even heroes need saving." The camera slowly pulled up, showing the endless dark sky, Ryan's ship flying into it, a red light still blinking under his console. The deep silence of space surrounded Star Runner like a blanket of shadows. Captain Ryan Cole sat in the cockpit, his face lit by the soft blue light of the control panel. The small tracking device he found lay on the table beside him. blinking every 5 seconds, sending out a signal he couldn't stop. He rubbed his forehead. Someone planted this. Someone on Xylon. R9 hovered close, its mechanical voice calm. The villagers, unlikely. They were grateful. Ryan shook his head. No, it wasn't them. But someone wanted me to bring the Syndicate's wrath here. Outside the window, stars flickered like silent witnesses. Ryan felt a chill crawl down his neck. He had saved a life, and now that act of kindness might cost many more. Back on Xylon, Lyra walked through the dusty marketplace. People smiled at her now, the mother whose child had survived the deadly illness. She should have felt peace, but her heart was restless. Every night since the humans' departure, she dreamed of fire, of ships burning in the sky. And always a whisper in her dream. You brought him here. You betrayed your own world. She shook the thought away, but as she passed through the crowd, a voice called her name. Lyra. She turned to see a tall figure wrapped in a dark coat. His eyes were hidden, but his voice was sharp. You contacted the human, didn't you? Her stomach tightened. Who are you? The man stepped closer. A syndicate mark glowed faintly on his wrist. I warned you not to reach outside the system. Because of you, the commander is furious. And now? He leaned close. They will come for your people. Lyra's heart froze. No, he only helped. The man's grin was cold. You think the syndicate cares? You broke their rule. Hope is poison to them, she stepped back. I'll warn everyone. But when she looked again, the man had vanished into the crowd, leaving only fear behind. Meanwhile, Ryan was trying to find answers. His ship drifted into a quiet zone, an abandoned communication hub orbiting an old moon. The station was half broken, floating in silence. He connected the tracker to the main computer. Let's see where this signal leads. Lines of code ran across the screen. After a few seconds, a location appeared. Syndicate Command Base, Sector 19. Ryan's eyes narrowed. So that's where they're hiding. R9 tilted its head. We cannot fight them, Captain. They have fleets. We have one ship. Ryan smiled slightly. Who said we're fighting? We're just listening. He tapped a few buttons, linking his communication antenna to the Syndicate's frequency. Static filled the room. Then voices. The human is marked. Commander Vorak will deal with him personally. Also, contact our source on Xylon. Make sure she stays quiet. Ryan's hand froze. Source on Xylon? He replayed it again. The words were the same. Someone from Xylon worked with them, he whispered. R9 beeped. Possible traitor identified? Ryan frowned. Maybe. Or maybe someone was forced. He looked out at the stars. Either way, we need the truth. Back on the planet, Lyra ran into her house, gasping. Ryan, pack your things. We're leaving the city. Her child blinked in confusion. Why, Mom? What's happening? She kneeled, her voice trembling. The people who control the medicine. They're coming. But it was too late. A loud explosion echoed outside. The sky filled with fire, Syndicate dropships descending like dark birds. Panic spread through the streets. Lyra grabbed her son's hand and ran. Around them, homes burned. The Syndicate soldiers marched through, scanning faces. One soldier pointed. That's her. The one who sent the message. Lyra's blood ran cold. She pulled Rian behind a wall. Don't move, she whispered. A loud voice came from a speaker above. People of Xylon, the human who brought you false hope has doomed you all. Surrender the woman, and we may spare the rest. The crowd grew silent. Eyes turned toward Lyra's house. Fear spread like smoke. Ryan clung to her. Mom, they'll find us. She looked up at the burning sky and whispered, Only one person can save us now. In space, the emergency message reached Ryan's ship. Lyra's trembling voice came through the comms. Ryan, they found us. The Syndicate is here. Please help my people. Ryan's hands tightened on the controls. R9 set course for Xylon. The robot hesitated. Captain, the Syndicate base is tracking us. It's a trap. Ryan looked at the blinking tracker light. I know, but we walk into traps to save lives. He turned off all safety systems, powered up the engines, and whispered to himself, if they want me, they'll have to face me. As the Star Runner jumped through hyperspace, its engines burned brighter than ever, a lone streak of light against the endless dark. Down on Xylon, Lyra held her son close while explosions shook the ground. She looked up, eyes full of tears and hope. Far above, a bright blue trail appeared in the sky. The villagers gasped. The human. "He's coming back," someone shouted. Lyra smiled weakly. "He heard us." The camera pulled back, showing the syndicate ships surrounding the planet, and one small human vessel diving straight toward them like a falling star. The dark sky above Xylon burned with fire. Explosions painted the clouds red and orange as syndicate warships descended like a storm. The people ran through the streets screaming, searching for safety that didn't exist. And then, a sudden streak of blue light cut through the chaos. It was Captain Ryan Cole. The Star Runner burst out of hyperspace, engines glowing like a comet's tail. Inside, Ryan gripped the controls tightly, his jaw set. "R9, ready the shields. Target the syndicate dropships." "Captain," the robot replied. "There are too many of them." "The odds of survival," Ryan interrupted sharply. "Forget the odds. We're saving lives." He pressed the thrusters and dove straight into the battlefield. Down on the surface, Lyra and Ryan huddled inside a broken shelter. The ground trembled as syndicate soldiers marched through the burning streets. Ryan looked up, his eyes wide. "Mom, the sky's glowing." Lyra stepped out just enough to see the blue trail cutting across the clouds. A small smile broke through her fear. "He came back," she whispered. Above them, the Star Runner flew low, dodging lasers and missiles. Ryan fired back, each blast lighting up the darkness. Two syndicate fighters exploded, raining metal like falling stars. Inside his cockpit, alarms screamed. "Shields at 40%. Hull damage on the left wing," R9 warned. Ryan gritted his teeth. "We just need to get closer to the surface. Hold on." He pulled the ship down sharply through the thick smoke. On the command deck of the largest syndicate battleship, Commander Vorak stood with a cruel grin. "There he is," he said, watching the small human ship on his monitor. "The hero returns to die." His second officer frowned. "Sir, should we destroy him?" Vorak shook his head slowly. "No, trap him. I want him alive. Let him see this world burn before he dies." He raised his clawed hand and a dozen ships changed formation, closing in around the Star Runner. Ryan saw them on the radar. "They're surrounding us." R9 beeped anxiously. "Captain, there is no escape path." Ryan smirked slightly. "Who said we're escaping?" He pushed a red button on the console. "Deploy smoke drones." A cluster of small spheres shot out of the ship, releasing thick black vapor. The syndicate pilots lost sight of him immediately. "Where did he go?" one shouted. Out of the smoke, Ryan's ship emerged right behind them. He fired both plasma cannons in direct hits. Two enemy ships exploded in blue fire. Meanwhile, on the ground, syndicate soldiers stormed through the village, searching every home. One of them found Lyra and Ryan hiding. "They are the mother and child," he yelled. Lyra pushed Ryan behind her. "Run!" she screamed. But before the soldier could fire, a beam of light struck the ground beside them, blindingly bright. When the dust cleared, the Star Runner stood in front of them, engines still glowing. The cockpit opened. Ryan jumped out, blaster in hand. "Get behind me!" He fired fast and precise. The syndicate troops fell one by one. The last soldier tried to run, but Ryan's shot hit the ground near his feet, forcing him to freeze. Ryan pointed his blaster at him. "Tell your commander, Xylon isn't his to burn." The soldier dropped his weapon and fled. Lyra ran forward, breathless. "You came back?" Ryan nodded. "Couldn't let your world fall." Ryan smiled weakly, his small hand clutching his mother's. "I knew you'd come." Ryan smiled back, though his eyes were tired. "I keep my promises." But the moment of peace didn't last. Above them, a massive shadow passed over the village. The Syndicate command ship. Its cannons aimed directly at the ground. Vorak's voice echoed through the sky, amplified by speakers. "Human, you fight for the weak, but weakness always dies." Ryan looked up. "Everyone get underground." He sprinted back to his ship. "R9, lock missiles on the command ship." "Captain," R9 warned. "One direct hit from them will destroy us completely." Ryan took a deep breath. "Then we'll just have to hit them first." He jumped into the cockpit and lifted off. The Star Runner shot upward faster than ever. The final battle began above Xylon's clouds. Ryan's small ship faced a monster, Vorak's warship, 100 times larger. Lasers flashed across the sky. Ryan dodged, dived, and fired, his movements sharp and desperate. Inside the warship, Vorak watched calmly. Pathetic. And this. The Syndicate ship unleashed a beam of red energy. It hit the Star Runner's left wing. Sparks exploded. Warning lights flared. R9's voice shook. "We are losing power!" Ryan clenched his jaw. Not yet. He pulled the last missile trigger. The missile shot straight toward the warship, right into its cannon. A second later, the sky exploded. The Syndicate command ship burst into flames, its core imploding. Down below, the villagers watched as the red fire faded, replaced by quiet stars. The explosion stopped. The air grew still. Lyra held Rion close, tears streaming down her face. "He did it," she whispered. But far above, the Star Runner spun out of control, smoke trailing from its engines. Inside, Ryan tried to steady the ship. "R9, tell me we can land." The robot's lights flickered. "Attempting. Emergency landing. Coordinates locked." Ryan smiled faintly. "Good work, buddy." The ship began falling toward Xylon's surface in a burning light in the sky. Lyra looked up, heart pounding. "Ryan!" she cried. The Star Runner vanished beyond the horizon. Silence followed. Smoke curled across the purple horizon of Xylon. The battle was over, but the silence that followed was heavier than any explosion. The great Syndicate command ship was gone, destroyed in the fire of its own greed. Yet far away a new light burned, falling fast through the sky like a dying comet. Lyra stood in the village square, her arms wrapped around Ryan. The people stared upward, pointing at the streak of flame cutting across the heavens. "Is that his ship?" one whispered. Lyra's throat tightened. "Yes," she breathed. "The Star Runner." The ship vanished behind the distant mountains. A few seconds later, a dull explosion echoed and the ground trembled. Rion's small hand gripped his mother's tightly. "Mom, did he—" She shook her head quickly. "No, he's alive." "He has to be." Without waiting, she turned to the crowd. "We need to go, now. He saved all of us, and we can't leave him." The villagers hesitated, still afraid. But when Rion spoke, his voice trembling yet strong, "He saved me when no one else could," they followed. And so, under the darkening sky, a small group of aliens began their march toward the crash site, to find the fallen star. High in the shattered mountains, the Star Runner lay broken among sharp black rocks. Smoke rose from the twisted metal. One wing was gone, the engines were dead. But inside the cockpit, Captain Ryan Cole was still breathing. He groaned, blood running down the side of his face. His suit was torn, his arm bruised. Beside him, R9 flickered weakly, one eye light blinking. "Captain, system failure, power core destroyed." Ryan coughed. "Still talking, huh? That's a good sign." He unbuckled himself and stumbled out of the cockpit. Cold air hit his face. The sky above was gray and heavy with ash. From the edge of the cliff, he could see the faint glow of the village far away. "Xylon's safe," he whispered. "At least that's something." Then a distant roar shook the ground. Ryan froze. The Syndicate wasn't finished. Far in orbit, deep inside another dark ship, Commander Vorak's voice crackled through a damaged communicator. He had survived the explosion, and barely. His armor was cracked, his face burned, but his hatred burned brighter. "Find the human," he growled to his crew. "I want his head before the next sunrise." His soldiers nodded silently. One of them pointed to a radar. "Energy signature detected near the mountain ridge." Vorak's lips curled into a smile. "So the hero still breathes. Good. Let's end this properly." Back at the crash site, Ryan tried to fix the transmitter on his ship. "If I can just get a signal, maybe Earth Command can—" But before he could finish, R9's voice interrupted. "Captain, heat signatures approaching, multiple, armed." Ryan's heart sank. "They found me." He grabbed his blaster and moved to the rocks, crouching low. The air filled with the sound of approaching engines, Syndicate scout flyers. He took a deep breath. One last fight, then. Lyra and the villagers were still climbing the ridge when they saw the flashes of light ahead. "Mom, look!" Rian shouted, pointing. Red beams cut across the mountain like lightning. Lyra's heart pounded. They found him first. She turned to the others. "Keep Ryan safe." "I'll go!" One villager grabbed her arm. "You can't face them alone." She looked back at her son, eyes full of fierce love.
"He didn't leave us alone."
"I won't either." Without another word, she ran toward the light. Ryan fired again and again, hitting 2 Syndicate soldiers, but there were too many. A blast struck near him, throwing him against a rock. His blaster flew from his hand. Vorak's voice echoed through the smoke. "Brave human, you think you can change the galaxy with kindness? Fool." Ryan struggled to stand. "Maybe not the galaxy," he said, "but one life is enough." Vorak stepped out from the shadows, his massive armor glowing red. "Then yours ends here." He raised his weapon, a glowing energy spear, but before he could strike, a sharp scream broke through the air. "Ryan!" Lyra charged forward, grabbing a fallen blaster. She fired wildly, the shots hitting Vorak's armor and forcing him to stumble. Ryan blinked in shock. "Lyra!" "What are you—" "Saving you," she shouted. Vorak roared and swung the spear toward her. Ryan dived, tackling her out of the way. The weapon slammed into the ground, sending sparks flying. R9, still half-functional, activated the ship's emergency defense turret. "Defense mode, manual override," it said weakly. A single beam shot from the broken ship, striking Vorak's chest. The commander screamed, sparks flying from his armor. He staggered backward, growling, "This isn't over," before collapsing to the ground as his soldiers fled into the sky. Silence returned. Smoke drifted away. Lyra crawled toward Ryan, who was lying still, eyes half open. She touched his shoulder. "You're hurt," he smiled faintly. "I've been worse." Behind her, Ryan ran toward them, tears streaming down his face. "Ryan," Ryan smiled at the boy. "Hey, little star. You kept shining." The villagers surrounded them, cheering softly, their eyes filled with gratitude. Lyra looked at the wrecked ship and then at the human who had fallen from the stars to save them. "You're one of us now," she whispered. Ryan gazed up at the purple sky, the stars beginning to reappear. "Maybe that's not such a bad thing," he murmured before closing his eyes to rest. As the night deepened, the Star Runner lay silent under the alien moon, broken, but not defeated. And in the distance, the faint echo of engines whispered through the air. The Syndicate wasn't gone. Not yet. The night on Xylon was quiet again, too quiet. A cold wind moved through the broken mountains, whispering through the wreck of the Star Runner. The ship's hull was cracked open like a wounded heart. Its lights were gone. Its captain, Ryan Cole, lay resting inside, his wounds bandaged with alien cloth. Beside him sat Lyra, half awake, watching the stars. She had barely spoken since the fight. Her son Ryan slept curled up beside her, clutching Ryan's old jacket like it was treasure. The war was over. Or so they thought. Lyra's eyes lifted toward the sky. She noticed something strange, a shimmer far away among the stars. It wasn't a star. It was moving. Far above Xylon, hidden behind the shadow of a dying moon, a new fleet waited, silent and black. The Syndicate had returned, but not for conquest. This time they came for revenge. Inside the lead ship, a tall figure stepped from the shadows. His face was half covered with metal plates, a deep scar running across his cheek. General Kale Vorak, the brother of the fallen commander. He stood before a glowing hologram of Xylon. "So this is the world my brother died for," he said, his voice cold. "A place saved by one foolish human." His second officer bowed. "The people there believe he's a hero now." Kale's eyes narrowed. "Then we will remind them what fear feels like." He raised his hand. "Prepare the shadow bombs. I want that world burning before sunrise." Down on the surface, Ryan stirred awake as his wrist communicator buzzed faintly. Static filled the air. He frowned. "That signal. It's military." He sat up slowly, wincing in pain. "R9?" The robot, still damaged, sparked to life. "Power restored at 12%. Scanners online." Ryan coughed. "Good, scan the orbit." The robot's single eye glowed red for a moment, then flashed urgently. "Warning. Multiple Syndicate ships approaching. Estimated arrival, 6 hours. Ryan's face turned pale. "They're back." Lyra, hearing his voice, turned sharply. "What do you mean?" "They're coming again," he said, standing despite his pain. "And this time they won't stop at the village." Lyra's eyes filled with fear. "Then what do we do?" Ryan looked at her for a long moment, then at Ryan, sleeping peacefully. "We fight smarter." The villagers gathered as dawn approached. The air smelled of metal and smoke. Ryan stood before them, leaning on a broken piece of his ship for support. "The Syndicate is returning," he said firmly. "They lost the first fight, and they won't forgive that." The crowd murmured in fear. One alien elder asked, "But we have no weapons. What can we do?" Ryan smiled slightly. "You have what they don't, courage, and a planet full of minerals they don't understand." He looked at the children hiding behind their parents. "We'll use your land, your rocks, your storms, your lightning. We'll make Xylon fight with us." He began giving orders, building traps using crashed metal, hiding energy cells in the canyon, and setting reflective crystals on the cliffs to confuse scanners. For the first time, the people of Xylon fought not as victims, but as defenders. Hours later, the first Syndicate ship entered the atmosphere. Its engines roared like thunder. General Kale stood on the bridge, smiling. "Burn it all." The ships fired down red beams, striking the empty fields. But as the smoke cleared, they saw nothing. No people. No city. Then suddenly light exploded from the cliffs. The reflective crystals caught the sunlight and bounced it straight into the Syndicate's scanners. "Sir, our targeting systems are blind," shouted one pilot. At that same moment, the ground beneath them erupted. Hidden charges made from Starrunner fuel and Xylon rock. 2 ships exploded in midair. Kyle's smile faded. The human is alive. Down below, Ryan ran through the battlefield, directing the villagers. "Now, push the charges." The villagers triggered another wave of explosions. The sky lit up with fire, but as the dust cleared, Kale's massive flagship descended through the clouds. Its shadow covered the mountains like a storm. R9 sensors beeped wildly. "That's him, Captain. Forak's brother." Ryan clenched his jaw. "Then it ends tonight." He turned to Lyra. "Get everyone underground. No matter what happens." Lyra grabbed his arm. "You can't face him alone." He smiled softly. "You once told me heroes come from hope. Let me prove you were right." Before she could reply, he ran toward the wreck of his ship. The Starrunner was broken, but its heart, the energy core now still pulsed faintly. Ryan climbed inside, connecting wires with shaking hands. R9 floated beside him. "Captain, are you doing what I think?" Ryan smirked. "Sometimes the only way to stop a storm is to become one." He activated the ship's last system and self-energy amplification. The core began to glow brighter and brighter, humming like thunder. Outside, Kale's ship aimed its cannons down. Ryan whispered, "For Xylon, for Lyra, for Rion." The Starrunner exploded in a flash of blue light, a wave of energy shooting into the sky. Kale's flagship was hit head-on. The energy wave tore through it, ripping the ship apart piece by piece. The Syndicate fleet vanished in the storm Ryan created. When the light faded, only silence remained. Lyra and Rion climbed out from the shelter, their eyes wide. The mountains were glowing with blue crystal dust. "Mom," Ryan whispered. "Where's Ryan?" Lyra looked up at the sky. No ship, no fire. Only a single streak of light moving upward, fading slowly among the stars. Her voice trembled. "He's gone, but he saved us again." The villagers stood together, heads bowed. For the first time, Xylon was free. And high above, among the stars, a faint blue spark floated. The last remnant of the Starrunner. It pulsed once like a heartbeat. Maybe Ryan Cole wasn't gone after all. The world of Xylon had never been this peaceful. The warships were gone, the sky was clear, and the air smelled like rain and ash. The villagers rebuilt their homes with quiet determination, planting seeds where craters once were. But for Lyra and her son Rion, peace carried a shadow, the silence of someone who never came back. Every night, Rion climbed the hill outside the village to watch the stars. He still carried Captain Ryan Cole's badge, a small metal piece with the Earth insignia. He would hold it tight and whisper, "You said heroes never die." "So where are you, Ryan?" Lyra often joined him, her eyes fixed on the same patch of sky where the Starrunner had vanished weeks ago. Sometimes in the quiet breeze she thought she heard his voice, calm, warm, human. But the stars said nothing. Far beyond Xylon's orbit, deep in the wreckage of broken Syndicate ships, something flickered, a faint blue light pulsing like a heartbeat. Inside the drifting debris, a single emergency pod floated among the ruins. Its glass surface was cracked, but the oxygen light still blinked green. Inside it, Ryan Cole, alive but weak. His suit was burned, his arm bandaged, his body half frozen. The ship's AI voice spoke softly in the silence. "Stasis mode activated. Coordinates. Unknown." Ryan's eyelids fluttered. He tried to move but couldn't. Every breath felt heavy. "Lyra, Ryan," he whispered. His voice cracked, but a faint smile touched his lips. He reached for the communicator switch. It sparked once, then died. The pod drifted further into darkness, spinning slowly among the stars. On Xylon, months passed. The people learned to live without fear. The story of the human star spread across cities and continents. Songs were written about the man who fell from the sky and saved their world. Lyra became a healer. She taught others how to make medicine from the plants and minerals Ryan had studied. She smiled more now, but at night, she still looked at the stars. One evening, as she closed her small clinic, the old communicator on the shelf began to beep, something it hadn't done since the war. Beep, beep, beep. Her heart froze. That can't be. She ran to the device and switched it on. Static filled the room, then a faint voice. "Lyra, Rion, this is Captain Ryan Cole. If anyone can hear me, I'm alive." The communicator crackled, the signal weak but real. Lyra's hand shook. Ryan, it's Lyra. We hear you." No response. Only more static, then another broken line. "Drifting. Near the shadow zone. Low oxygen. Please. Don't come after me." The transmission ended. Lyra stared at the silent device, her heartbeat echoing in her ears. Then she turned toward the window where Ryan was standing, wide-eyed. "He's alive," he whispered. She nodded. "And he needs us." Within hours, the village came together. Mechanics, pilots, miners, everyone offered something. The wreck of the Star Runner was repaired piece by piece using alien metal and salvaged engines. Ryan stood proudly beside the new ship's hull, now engraved with its new name, Star Runner 2. The light of Xylon. Lyra wore Ryan's old flight jacket. "I can't believe we're doing this," one of the villagers said. She smiled softly. "He came for us when no one else would. Now it's our turn." The engines roared, glowing bright blue under the alien moon. Ryan sat beside his mother in the co-pilot seat, eyes shining. "Let's bring him home." The ship lifted off the ground and soared into the dark sky, a trail of light following behind. Hours later, among the ruins of the Syndicate fleet, Ryan's pod drifted silently. His eyes half opened when he saw a flash. "A familiar blue light approaching, is that?" he whispered weakly. Through the cracked glass, he saw the Star Runner 2 descending. The sight made him laugh softly despite his pain. "You didn't listen."
Did you?
The pod shook as a tractor beam pulled it toward the ship. Lyra's voice came through the comms, strong and clear. "You saved our world, Ryan. Did you really think we'd let you drift away?" Ryan smiled faintly. "You always were stubborn." The airlock opened. Lyra stepped in, tears in her eyes. She knelt beside him and whispered, "Welcome home, Captain." Ryan peeked from behind her, grinning. "Told you heroes don't die." Ryan laughed weakly, his eyes glistening. "Guess you were right, little star." As the ship turned toward Xylon, Ryan looked out through the window, the stars glowing brighter than ever. "Hard to believe," he said softly. "I came here to deliver medicine, and found a whole new home." Lyra smiled. "And a new family." Ryan leaned on his seat, gazing at the sky. "Do you think the Syndicate will ever come back?" Ryan's eyes hardened but calm. "If they do, they'll find we're ready." The three of them sat in silence, the hum of the engines steady and peaceful. Outside, the stars stretched endlessly, 1,000 stories waiting to be written. As Xylon's blue glow appeared ahead, Ryan whispered his final words into the log recorder. "This is Captain Ryan Cole of the Star Runner 2. Mission complete. Hope delivered." The camera pulled back, showing the ship gliding toward the dawn, leaving a trail of light behind it. And somewhere in the darkness, that faint blue spark in the heart of the first Star Runner flickered one last time, before fading into eternity. The end.